Welcome to Good Games Spawn Point. And welcome back, Goose.
Thanks, guys.
You know, E3 was like 2 weeks ago. You can probably take all that stuff off now.
No! Coming up on the show, we swipe through stacks of salmon in Sushi Striker, The Way of Sushido. Plus the charming co-op of Unravel 2.
Also, we'll meet one of the youngest esports professionals around, Orange Ocelot.
It can be very competitive, but also sometimes very casual.
So while I was gone, did Bajo, touch my stuff?
Oh yeah, he sat in your chair.
That's filthy! Sushi Striker, The Way of Sushido is a match 3 style puzzler that combines 2 of my favourite things, gaming and food.
Set in a world without fish, sushi is seen as both a weapon and a beacon of hope in the aftermath of the bitter sushi struggles.
After the Republic's defeat, the Empire strictly forbade all talk of sushi. To eat sushi was an even greater crime.
You play as a young orphan called Musashi, who lost their parents during the war and now looks after the starving children of the orphanage. While out foraging for food, they meet a mysterious stranger called Franklin, who introduces them to the delicious delicacy that is sushi. It then becomes Musashi's mission to aid the Sushi Liberation Front, or SLF, in overthrowing the tyrannical empire and bringing the joy of sushi to the world.
It's all pretty ridiculous, isn't it? But in a fun, wacky way that I really enjoyed. The story is told through standard static cutscenes and some seriously cool, fully voiced animations that look like they're straight out of a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah, there's so much colour and life on display here as you battle it out over conveyor belts of raw seafood. There are 7 lines on the sushi train, 3 for you, 3 for your opponent, and a shared line in the centre. To win, you must link up as many plates of the same colour as you can within 7 seconds. And once you've built up your stack, hurl them at your opponent until only one of you remains to clean up the mess. Remind me never to have Musashi over for dinner.
Yeah, no kidding. But you do have a few cool moves to show off. Aside from being the world's worst dinner guest, Musashi can also unlock a range of game-changing abilities thanks to your sushi sprites. These are Pokemon-like creatures with special skills you can collect and add to your team. Some have offensive abilities like delivering powerful electric shocks, while others can help keep you afloat in a tough battle by dropping HP-boosting snacks.
But you're not the only one with a trick up your sleeve. Your opponents have sprites too. This means you're not only worrying about charging your own abilities, but keeping an eye on the enemies, while also trying not to get lost in the chaos of a runaway sushi train. There's just so much to think about.
It's all incredibly fast-paced, isn't it? And it only gets crazier as you progress. You'll also be introduced to different gears that control the speed of the train, capsules you can unlock to grant you bonuses, and the ability to select a favourite type of sushi that you can gobble up to gain an attack buff or health boost. I liked how much freedom I was given to just go crazy and lose myself in this sushi silliness.
It can be a bit overwhelming at times, though. It took me quite a while to get into the swing of things. Probably more time than some spawnlings will want to give it. Things also started to get quite tedious after a while, because when it comes down to it, you're just playing the same puzzle over and over again, broken up by a few cutscenes. That being said, watching the counter tick up as I danced across the sushi train always felt so satisfying, so I can totally see the appeal.
I think it fires off that same part of the brain that enjoys mobile games like Bubble Shooter and Candy Crush. But on a handheld console like a 3DS or a Switch, that same sort of movement doesn't carry over flawlessly. I found when using the touchscreen, my finger or stylus would sometimes obscure too much of the screen to see what I was actually doing. Then using the control stick got rid of that problem, but it also felt clunky and hard to control. Which took away from that fast-paced, think-on-your-feet gameplay I otherwise really enjoyed.
Yeah, I had the same issue, and more often than not was kind of just tapping wildly around the screen, hoping I'd bump into something useful.
Don't forget, though, practice makes perfect. Not for me, of course. Obviously, I'm already perfect. But for spawnlings wanting to hone their skills, both versions of Sushi Striker have an unlockable multiplayer mode. Oh, anyone fancy a game?
I didn't know you were a sushi fan, Darren.
While I cannot physically consume such a delicacy, these digital morsels are the next best thing.
Well, you can count me in. We should wrap this up, Jem. Final thoughts?
I said to the rap sushi because you rap. Never mind. While I enjoyed the art style and the kookiness of it all, I personally couldn't get into the repetitive puzzles, which make up about 90% of the game. So I'm giving it 2 out of 5 rubber chickens.
I have to disagree. I had a really good time with Sushi Striker. It's fast, it's action-packed, and it's always changing things up to keep you on your toes. Despite those dodgy controls at times, I'd gladly jump in for more here. I'm giving it 4 out of 5 rubber chickens. Although I'd be an absolute mess at a real sushi restaurant.
Oh, it's just everywhere. It's in my hair, it's in my clothes, it's just...
Smells like fish. I got time for a quick nap. Oh no, time for the scoop. All right, time to see what's Scoopin'. And first up, news of a new Plants vs. Zombies game in development. A recent interview with Jade Raymond from EA Motive revealed that the Vancouver branch of the studio is working on a new Plants vs. Zombies project. It's still early days and it's not confirmed whether it will be Garden Warfare 3 or something different. Perhaps Salad Showdown, Botanical Battle, Colonel Corn Rides Again? Maybe I should pitch these. And next up, Valve has created a tech demo for its latest VR controller featuring the beloved world of Portal. The controller, known as the Knuckles EV2, features individual finger tracking and has been sent out to developers for testing along with the demo called Moondust. It shows some game mechanics like grasping and crushing rocks using the Force sensor tech and assembling a space station from modular pieces. Even though it's just a demo, glimpsing the Portal universe once again in a cool moon setting like this makes you wish you could grasp a new Portal game. Moving on, and to celebrate the World Cup, World of Tanks has introduced a Rocket League-style football mode. Until the end of July, players can take part in daily missions and play solo or in team tournaments. The on-field tank moves are not quite as fancy as what you might see in Rocket League, but they are tanks after all. Tanks anyway. And finally, Pokemon Go's latest update is a pretty big one, introducing long-awaited trading and friends list features. The Friends feature allows you to buddy up with pals on gym and raid battles, exchange gifts, and level up friendships to receive rewards. Friends will also be able to trade Pokemon if they're nearby. We sure have come a long way since the days of Pokemon Red and Blue when you had to actually connect two Game Boys with a cable to trade Pokemon. They were simpler times. Now, it's time for an extra scoop. This week, it's Dragon Ball FighterZ on piano, and I'm not talking about the theme music. A player called Greg struck some chords at a recent Dragon Ball FighterZ tournament by using a Rock Band piano keyboard to play the game, and he was actually pretty good at it. I wonder if you could get the Labo piano to do that. Well, with that out of the way, I am heading back to bed. I believe I had a blanket. Thanks. Good night.
Esports. It's the global phenomenon that just keeps on growing. With esports tournaments around the world offering up prize money in the millions, the dream of becoming an esports athlete is drifting to the front of a lot of Australian gamers' minds. We sent out our field reporter Jem to catch up with Australia's youngest signed esports athlete. Thanks, Jem. Today I'm here with Australia's youngest signed esports athlete, Orange Ocelot. Now, how did you get into esports? Was it something you saw on TV and you're like, yeah, I want to do that? Or did you just kind of fall into it?
My dad introduced me to Pokemon, which is counted as an esports game apparently, which I didn't know at the time, obviously. Then I started going from there.
And what is about esports that you love so much? Because you're obviously very serious about this, like looking at your setup.
It can be very competitive, but also sometimes very casual. Depends on the game, actually. Some people like to play Pokemon casually and just turn up to like PCs, which are Premier Challenges, whereas some people want to go all the way to Worlds.
Is that where you're heading? You want to go to Worlds?
I already am going this year.
Very good. It was Orange Ocelot's invitation to the Pokemon World Championships last year that caught the attention of the esports team Oracle Empire, who signed him up, making him Australia's youngest signed esports player. Yes. Now, almost a year later, Orange Ocelot has signed with a new team, Tainted Minds, and is expanding his skill set. So why did you start streaming?
I got jealous of my friend. He lied about saying that he had a YouTube channel. I was jealous, so then I ended up going on to YouTube, then I ended up going on to Mixer, then YouTube again, and sponsors and all that, and then all of a sudden, here I am. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another live stream or video where today I will be...
Orange Ocelot has built quite an online presence, with streams and videos going up on multiple platforms weekly. Why do you enjoy streaming so much?
I enjoy it because there's a chance to make a new community and new friends.
No, someone stole my crane.
So how important is streaming in terms of like building up your brand and building up your social media? Like how much has that helped you?
Quite a lot actually. For example, some people wouldn't have heard of your team until like someone really went up there and just like the entire world knows about them.
Do you get recognised when you're doing streams? Like do people hear your voice and go, oh, that's Orange Ocelot?
At PAX, I went on one of those virtual bikes with my mum. A bunch of guys were just like, hey, that's Orange Ocelot.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So do you think this is something that anyone can get into? You don't have to be a certain type of person. Anyone can kind of get into esports?
Pretty much, hopefully. I mean, like, I'm not sure, but if you try enough, then you probably could.
What do you think has helped you so much in terms of like how successful you've become? What's helped you get this far?
Definitely my mom. She's done a whole load of work for me, including the new sponsor of Tainted Minds and countless things.
So what hobbies do you have outside of gaming?
Soccer and swimming.
Okay, so what do your teammates and your friends think of you being an esports athlete?
Actually, they don't know.
Oh, so you're an undercover esports athlete.
Yes.
So you've obviously got a lot going on. How do you balance it all out? So like school life, your sports, and streaming at the same time?
Pokemon takes up time for school, and soccer takes up time for Pokemon.
So it's all about balancing it out. Is that kind of what you have to do?
Yeah.
So do you find it difficult to get all your homework done with so many cool games to be playing?
No, but could you help me with this one question here?
I'll have a look. How about we go play some games? Let's go play some games.
Yeah.
What kind of games do you like playing outside of esports?
All kinds of different games. Well, anything which I have on the Xbox.
Okay, so this is a big question. Okay, you ready for it?
Yeah.
If you could only play one game for the rest of your life outside of esports, just casually, what game would it be?
Pokemon.
Why Pokemon?
Because there's a huge community for it.
Okay.
And you can easily make friends.
I like it. It's great to hear that one of the main drives for this young and up-and-coming esports star is the chance to make new friends and be a part of a community. It is amazing what he's managed to achieve at such a young age, but it really helps to have a team around to give him support and help him balance his home and school life with being an esports athlete. Well, there you go, Jem. What an inspiration to all those budding young esports men and women out there. I'm sure we'll be hearing more and more about esports as Australia starts to produce more top athletes like Orange Ocelot over here. And I, for one, am excited. Too right, Jem, and a great report. Thanks, Jem. Always a pleasure. Same here, Jem. We'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in, and keep gaming, dudes. Also, I love what you've done with your hair. Oh, thank you. I love what you've done with your hair.
All right, it's time for questions. Quick questions, quality questions, quirky questions, queens of questions.
Oh no, Goose! You're stuck in an alliteration loop again. Snap out of it!
Go, quirky. Oh, thanks, Rad. Oh, I needed that. Jet lag can have some interesting effects. All right, let's dive in with this video question, and it's from Noah.
Hello, good game spawn point. I'm just asking you if you got how many seasons are there for micro story mode, and if you're making another season, can you let me know? Okay, that's done here.
Thanks, Noah. In answer to your question about how many Minecraft story mode seasons there are, currently there are 2 seasons. The first has 8 individual episodes, and the second has 5.
We haven't heard anything official about a Minecraft Story Mode Season 3, though there definitely seems to be some demand amongst fans. And it's worth mentioning that there was some news recently about an adaptation of Minecraft Story Mode coming to Netflix.
Interesting. We'll try to keep across any developments. It might even be something we'd consider reviewing or streaming if Season 3 does eventuate.
But let's not count our rubber chickens before they've hatched.
Good point. Now on to our next question from Goose's noob lawyer.
My lawyer?
Have you not paid your bill? I wish for Goose to receive full recompensation for his recent drinking from the Noob Cup, referring to his seeming mistake that shall be referred to only as the Donkey Kong Country Incident, DKCI, as upon re-inspection of evidence, he clearly stated, quote, when he first played it 14 years ago, as opposed to, quote, it was released 14 years ago. Therefore, I find it fitting that he be deemed innocent. Also, people should start asking Hand to do these. Sincerely, Goose's noob lawyer.
Oh, thanks, my noob lawyer, but look, the truth is I did play Donkey Kong Country back when it was released in 1994, way back when I was a fresh-faced young goose. A gosling, you might say, gaming away my afternoons, a glimmer in my eye and a milk moustache on my upper lip.
Some beautiful reminiscing, Goose, but could you get to the point?
Oh, sure. Well, as I was saying, to imply that I played it on the Super Nintendo 10 years after that would actually be a lie. And as unpleasant as that noobish brew was, you know what? It still had an aftertaste of honesty.
And honesty is the best policy. Oh, great suggestion about asking the hand to do these, Goose's noob lawyer. I look forward to seeing some interpretive emoticon mime in the future.
Moving on to another question, and this one is from Oliver in Yarraville. I want to make an indie game, so what do you think the most popular indie games will be in the future to present? Also, what is your favourite indie game and what style is it? Top-down, RPG, etc.? Darren, do these! I'll just give Darren a little ring-a-ding, shall I?
Ahoy!
Hey Darren, emoji time, go for it!
Unimpressed. Peaked.
Thanks Darren, and thanks for your question, Oliver. Great to hear you'd like to make your own indie game. Darren, would you care to share what you think the most popular indie games will be in the future?
Affirmative, Goose. Firstly, just to clarify, indie or independent games are games that are typically made on a small budget with a small development team, rather than through large established industry developers. Some of the most popular indie games that I think will stand the test of time include Undertale, Stardew Valley, Fez, Cuphead, Kerbal Space Program, and Journey. Other well-known indies include Shovel Knight, Guacamelee, and Don't Starve. Terraria was also created by an indie dev team. And let's not forget that Minecraft started as an indie game too. And now it's basically taken over the world. Much like I'd like to.
What was that last bit, Darren?
Oh, nothing. Goodbye.
Bye, Darren. He needs to get new hobbies. Now to the question of our favourite indie game. Well, it's hard to choose just one. Aside from some of the ones Darren mentioned, I really like the stunning puzzling of Monument Valley 1 and 2, and the real-time strategy roguelike Faster Than Light. How about you, Goose?
Solid choices there, Rad. I also really like the Metroidvania Hollow Knight from an Aussie indie dev team, and Bullet Hell Dungeon Crawler Enter the Gungeon. Oh, and the underwater exploration adventure game Subnautica. There really are so many wonderful indie games across a range of genres.
Yeah, it goes to show that with a good concept or story, you don't always need the big dosh that AAA titles have to make an enjoyable game.
Quite true, Rad. Well, good luck with your game development, Oliver. Now, our last question is from the Queen of Arty Cats in the Land of Unknown.
I love art.
I love cats.
Dear GGSP, what are the latest and best games for phones? Also, are there any great art apps? P.S. Darren, do these. Uh-oh, more Darren things. Better get him back on the line.
Hello. 2 calls in a day. How unusual.
Yeah, it's a special day. Just some quick emojis.
Smug. Desolate. PPS, if you do not respond, my arty cats will come after you.
Great, thanks, Darren. Have a great day and don't dominate the world, please. Bye-bye. And thanks for your question, Queen of Arty Cats. That bow was a meow bow.
Oh, good work. In answer to your question about the latest and best games for phones, well, some good ones released over the last year or so include the side-scrolling Alto's Odyssey and Monument Valley 2, which you mentioned before, Rad. Plus, I quite enjoyed the cute puzzling of Bringing You Home.
If you like puzzles, you might also like Framed 2 too. Or for some nice art and sweet storytelling, Old Man's Journey is also a good one.
As for great art apps for you and your loyal Arty Cat subjects, Brush's Redux for iOS lets you create layered digital paintings and even integrate photos as well. Unicorn Color by Number is another fun one if you like creating your own pixel art. Oh, that actually looks a little bit like me.
Hey, it sort of does. There's also Draw Something, which is a social drawing and guessing app, so it adds a bit more of a gaming element to your art. These are all free too, so they're easy to try. And perhaps you can draw your own conclusions.
On that note, we've run out of time, but if you'd like to see your question on Ask SP, the best way to increase your chances is to make it a video question. Simply head here and send it in. And if your video question makes it on the show, you may even receive a super-duper special prize.
Oh, I love prizes. Hey, do you think Arty Cats wear little art smocks and like little berets? Like a little Picasso?
I definitely think so, and I want to see that.
Does Lando have one?
Yeah, he's got a whole range of outfits. The first Unravel was the darling of E3 when it was announced back in 2015. And this year, the developers, Coldwood Interactive, not only announced a sequel, Unravel 2, but they also released it at the same time.
This puzzle platforming series stars Yanni, a little humanoid creature made of wound-up yarn. And this time around, Yanni now has a friend. The two are attached by a thread that lengthens and shortens as you move further or closer to one another. You can play the entire game solo or in local co-op.
Gameplay is the same for both players. You'll largely be swinging from your yarn or using it to tie bridges to bounce higher. There's sections to jump through and danger to run from. All there to be tackled together.
Oh, I always love couch co-op. There are some genuinely enjoyable moments of teamwork to be had, using your combined brain power to move forward. But there's also many parts, in fact, maybe most of the game, that's actually easier to complete solo.
Yeah, I found that too, especially those swinging sections. Swinging separately creates 2 pivot points, which is a nightmare for trying to get your movement right. It's like walking a big dog and having it pull you around.
Oh, that sounds great. I love dogs.
Yeah, but imagine all the pulling and none of the dog.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Luckily, one Yanni can wrap themselves around the other at any time, giving just one player control. This is really handy for tricky sections because only one person needs to get it right.
Yeah, that might be one of my favourite things in Unravel 2. You can either be really involved or you can take a bit of a backseat. Plus, you're not slowed down if your buddy needs a bathroom break. But I have to say, as a big platformer fan, I did find it all a bit too easy for me.
For me, it was about as difficult as I wanted it to be. Using wall jumps and careful timing to clear obstacles gave me a sense of accomplishment without being too punishing. The checkpoints are generally well placed, giving you only short sections that you need to clear, although there are a few that are too far apart.
The game offers quite a few good puzzles too that can really leave you scratching the old noggin. You'll need to use your best teamwork if you're to succeed, but luckily there is a hint system if you do get stuck. And I can't go on without mentioning just how beautiful this game is. These Swedish developers have again created stunning, lifelike environments with beautiful lighting effects that really capture that wonderful Scandinavian feel. Oh, it just makes me feel all warm and fuzzy.
Me too, but funnily enough, for a game that looks this spectacular, I found it lacking in polish.
Yeah, it's a digital download. You can't polish anything digital.
I beg to differ. I always ensure my digital exterior is polished using the finest binary code available. But I think Rad was talking about a different kind of polish. She means that the game appears to have minor errors or elements of halted flow that feel like small oversights by the developer.
Ah, Darren, you took the words right out of my mouth. Wait, you didn't actually take the words out of my mouth, did you? He can't do that, can he?
Well, when you put it like that, I can see what you mean. For example, there were some sections with sparkles to swing off, but absolutely no reason why you would need to swing. You can just walk on straight underneath. And sometimes I did feel like the controls or environments didn't behave as expected.
Yeah, me too. There's also a bit of story in this game, told by ghost-like figures in the background. But for me, it didn't really make much sense and didn't add anything to the game. I don't feel like I connected with these characters.
Well, I actually really liked it. I felt like it added meaning to my journey without being too over the top. And similar to the first title, there's this wonderful underlying sense of whimsy that these developers are so good at crafting. This is a charming second outing, and I really enjoyed it. I'm giving it 4 out of 5 rubber chickens.
I really liked the difficulty level, but I think it does run the risk of being boring for the second player or frustrating if you keep separated. But even so, it's an entertaining journey with a lot of playtime. I'm giving it 3.5 out of 5 rubber chickens.
Those developers sure know how to spin a good yarn.
They woolly do. Next week on the show, it's time for a new Lego game, so bust out your super moves for the Incredibles.
That was so cool!
Plus, we review Fortnite Battle Royale on the Switch and take a look at the Fortnite phenomenon.
Guys, that is going to be epic. Don't forget to jump online and catch our live streaming. You may even win yourself something special for joining in with the chat stream.
We'll see you next week. Rat out.
Gem out.
Goose out. More emo dancing.